Hello, my family. Hello. Good morning. Today is Saturday, February the 4th, 2017. It's about 10:45 a.m. I've been off line because I've been busy and preparing other stuff, looking and researching and thinking. That takes time. I'm not on camera because I'm in here in my pajamas and a robe. but a matter of fact, I'm often like that. And so if I do have a visual image, just an old picture that I loaded in. And I've been watching, looks like Donald Trump did get elected, um, and all of that. I'm going to talk about that for a second. The topic of this one is called You Have a Choice to Make. Talking about my people, my black people. If you haven't already, then go look at the previous recordings and try to see them, record them, listen to them in date order or in order of they were made, because they all build on each other. So when I make this one, I'm going to presume that you've already um, witnessed the other ones. And you already know most of my positions on most subjects that I've already talked about. This one that I'm making now is going to be building on that, on the stuff I've already said. Now, about the election, there were two camps, mostly in the black community, the people who voted and the people who decided not to vote. I ultimately decided to vote because I didn't feel like this was the right election to make a stand. Although I do get it, the reasons why the other people didn't vote, and I'm not faulting them for it. But I wanted to make sure that I did vote because whatever the repercussions that happen, I want to be able to look at myself, and I'm a gentle soul by nature, and so I don't. When the carnage happens, I want to make sure I did all I could to prevent it. And if Hillary was in office, I think it would have been a more civil outcome than what we got now. So ultimately, I decided to vote. But that's an individual decision, and I'm not going to fault anybody either way, whether they voted or not. I just needed to make sure I did my part to be able to look at myself and not regret having not voted. That was important to me. Right now, I think they did the Muslim ban last week and something else the week before, and all kind of really the inception of a Nazi regime is going on. All of that, all of that, and the Nazi regime is a offshoot of the Roman Empire. We haven't left the Roman Empire; it's just changed its name, but we're really still in the political system and such, based on social political system that's based on the Roman Empire, and we're heading that way again, only worse. Everything is going to be a um, worse on steroids if you don't stop it. So I wanted to vote. Now, the Muslim ban, about the Muslim ban, I hear my brothers and sisters saying things, Um, but I'm not the type that's going to rejoice in somebody's pain. I'm not going to feel glad that they're hurting. I'm always sorry that somebody's hurting. And whether they deserve it or not, except I'm even sorry if white people hurt, but because I don't like people being in pain. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for other people in regards to their relations and reactions to our pain. So I understand why they're um, saying snide things about what's happening with the Muslims now. But I must caution you that what goes around comes around, and what comes around goes around. So make sure that um, you keep yourself right in spirit so that you will have clean hands in all of this. And I know that we don't want to help the Muslims, but they haven't asked us for help. If they do, then we can make a deal. You help us, we'll help you. Same thing with the Hispanics. They haven't really asked for our help. Usually, black people are jumping out there helping anyway before they ask. And a lot of them already are right out there doing the silly stuff, but they still out there trying to help or whatever they call it, whatever they're doing. Um, these might be some of the people we might need to leave behind because that what I in my mind isn't really effective. It never was. So that's about the election. I am about trying to hunker down and conserve our resources to make sure we come out okay because we're the only ones that do look out for us. We probably try to look out for everybody else, but we are definitely the only ones that look out for us, and we're the only ones capable of doing a effective change to make us safe and whole. So you have a choice to make. These are my brothers and sisters out here in the world who are listening to other people who are recording, watching other videos, and all, and living and thinking. The reason why I'm making this is that it's time to stop the silliness. We're doing some stupid, distracting things to the people who are making the videos. I'm talking about the ones that I watch. And I watch the videos and I look at the comments and I see utter stupidness in there. Stupid stuff that's beyond comprehension. And it's from black people. I suspect black people. I suspect that there are black people. It might be some white, what they call trolls in there. These are time wasters. But I suspect most of it is black people. In fact, I suspect, yeah, the majority of it is black people. Now, our choice to make is to live, to die, or worse. Live, die, or worse. These are going to be the three outcomes of what's going to happen in our future. We're going to live, and by live, I mean healthy, whole, strong, independent, taking care of ourselves, not dependent on anybody else, and in control of our fate, and choosing to make ourselves have a good, strong, wholesome fate that we control, that we build, that's ours. And nobody else can take it from us, and nobody else is in power to give us anything because we already got what we need and we can do what we want to do and take care of our black family and ourselves. That's to live. That's what I mean by live. Look at the one that I said, the end result. This is why I'm doing this, for the end result. And that's what I mean by to live. Just like that. Die. To die is, I won't, like I said, I'm not so worried about us dying off. Uh, but if we do die off, then I want every bit of our scrap of DNA gone with us. Um, like for example, we are the only stopgap that's stopping white supremacy. We're their biggest hurdle, so that's why they're coming at us. We are diametric opposites, and we're supposed to be. I we, I'm beginning to be with the people who think that they just don't belong here. I don't know where they belong, but I do know that they are here. I don't know where they came from, but I do know that they think differently, as evidenced by what's in front of me. That's why I believe that they think differently because they are displaying evidence of having thought differently, different than anybody else on the planet. And there's nothing controversial about that because their actions show how they think. They might give you dissertations and long-winded speeches about all kind of other stuff, but their action is showing you what they do and how they think. And you don't come from a nearly pristine planet um, 500 years ago into a place that's on the brink of destruction within 500 years. 1492 was when America was discovered, and now we're on the brink of destruction. And only difference is that the white man came out of his cage and spread across the world. That's the only thing. The white man came out of his caves and spread across the world, or came out of North Europe and spread across the planet. And so we've had um, thousands and thousands of years of a nearly pristine planet, pristine as in unpolluted planet, and then 500 years of utter pollution and nearly near destruction. So that's the only difference. So yeah, they're gonna get the blame for that because they did it. And yeah, when all things said and done, ultimately, among white people, the white female is gonna get the blame. for everything because it's going to ultimately land at her feet what's happening because the white male is out here doing all this junk to please her in so many words. Um, this is hindbrain stuff. Although we've got technology and sophisticated tools, this is really primitive hindbrain actions. This is subconscious actions. Everything that's going on is the impetus is on the hindbrain, the subconscious brain, the primitive brain. And it's about mating and survival and trying to be worthy of a mate. And that's what the white man is doing. Do you really think on any level that if the white female could keep it in her pants, that he would be out here going berserk on everybody? If he wasn't, if he was secure that he had this woman at his disposal and she wanted no one else? But the history of the white female has been chasing everybody else. Uh, in my mind, she's the only one more horny than the white male is the white female. And I've seen her in action. It's so there's a lot more I could say about that, but I won't, not here. So I would rather us die and die completely. Unfortunately, or yeah, unfortunately, with the mindset of this white person who's bent on destruction of the world and its people, as evidenced by the actions. And it's not all of them, it never was. And remember when I talked about that? And it's never was all of them. Some of them are as mortified as everybody else, but they haven't stopped them. So their mortification matters as much to me as it does to the white people, to the ones that are doing it, which is zero. It doesn't. Their mortification matters zero to the white people who are doing this stuff. To the white people in power, who are doing this, they don't care that the white people who don't agree with them are mortified at their behavior. And so I've got to act on that and act as if I can acknowledge that you're mortified and don't like it, but I can't let that be my determining factor for my actions and my thoughts. So um, to die. Now, if black people die off, then the next people who are the next darkest will be dying off because everybody on the planet is darker than white people. We are just the darkest compared to white people, but everybody of color on the planet is darker than white people. So these people who are in control and are orchestrating these problems see all people of color as a problem. They just see them at levels of a problem. So when you get rid of one, eradicate one, you go to the next and the next and the next and the next. You get rid of all people of colored skin, you start going at the people with and everybody left that's only people left is white. Then you go to dark hair. From dark haired people, you want to eradicate them. Then you go to the brown haired people, you want to eradicate them. Then you want to go eradicate the lighter haired people, all the way up until the whitest of white. That is the light colored hair, light colored skin, and lightest colored eyes. Because the same impetus carries through. Okay? So the destructive nature that we're talking about is on a continuum. It's just starting with us. Okay, so black people go first, then the brown people, then the red and yellow people, and then subcategories of white people. The darker, whiter people, the with the darker hair, the varying things that are darker than white are the whitest. Okay, so that's a continuum, and it won't stop until it's really all the way up to the whitest of white. They can't help it because that's the same motivation no matter what. Everybody's darker than that whitest of white. It's just degrees of darker. Okay, so when black people go, that destruction won't stop, and that destruction isn't limited to people. It's also limited to nature, that is vegetation, the earth itself, and plants and animals, and all of it. Okay, even sea creatures, even out of space. So the truth is, it's black people's job as the caretakers of the planet to really have put them in check, and we failed at that. We have failed, and we really, really needed to do our job, which it was to keep them under control when we saw that their destruction was coming. But we gave them a chance, unfortunately or fortunately, and upon seeing that what they were about, we didn't nip it in the bud, and now it's exploded. But it's still on us to fix. So I'd rather, if we can't fix it, to die off. My ultimate thing is for us to live, but if we can't work it, then they're gonna kill us and die. That is die. That's the second choice, is die off, or worse. And I got it here: live, die, or worse, or worse. That is to live and be at their mercy. That's worse than dying. That is worse than dying. Uh, I've got in here. Let me see. Live, die, or worse. Like yeah, it's got or worse, because their depravity knows no bounds. So now let me discuss what to do if we live, if we choose to live. If you choose to live, that is, go back to the first part about what it entails by living. Then A, you got to do your research. B, you got to listen, and C, you got to choose. Now to live, this is going to be some work on your part. I am one of the laziest people I've ever met. And if I can get my ass up there and look at the data and read and research, you can too. Because there is probably nobody on the planet more lazy than me. I have got laziness down. I schedule every week at least 2 butt sitting days. That is a butt sitting day, as I call it, is a day where I even may not, well, most time I shower and brush my teeth. Maybe. But a butt sitting day is what I set aside to just don't do a damn thing. Maybe I'll binge watch TV, but it's exclusively designed to not to do a damn thing productive. That's what I call a butt sitting day, where I have decided to sit down and not do anything in the world worth a damn. That's ultimately unproductive. I ain't gonna wash dishes, ain't gonna make the bed, ain't gonna put on my shoes, not even gonna check the mail. Exclusively butt sitting day. Not even gonna go out for fun things like go to the movies or whatever else I consider fun. Your butt sitting day is to sit on your butt with your hair sticking up in your head and don't do a damn thing. That's lazy. Okay, that's a butt sitting day. So if I can figure out how to get off of my butt and go do some research and read the shit and think about it, you can too. Okay? But when you do your research, unfortunately, it's not a social activity. Excuse me, I got a hack and cough for a second. So I'm going to put this on pause. I'm back. It looks like most black people I've seen and been listening to have a sniffle or a cough. I'm beginning to blink, and I just saw Resident Evil, so I'm thinking they done put something like a T virus out there, and everybody's got a cough, and as soon as they want to annihilate you, they can put out the second ingredient, and we die. But we all are fighting something, fighting some kind of airborne illness, because we hacking and coughing and sniffing. So I think we already got the means to our destruction already in our system. If they ever want to destroy us, all they got to do is give us a second ingredient. And if you don't think that, I think it happened to Prince and some of those other performers, to include Michael Jackson, that died the well publicized death. They had a mysterious illness before they went away. I think as a setup. I digress, but that's what I think. So, yeah, back to live. Do your research. If I can, you can. And by research, It's not social. That is, you to read a book or read an article or read some primary resources. And I talked about what kind of research to do in one of my earlier tapings. Um, do that. And I talked about how long it takes. This is not a social function. This is solitary. If you can't sit still long enough to read and look, you might have to be left by the wayside. But there's a second thing, that's hope. That there are people who have already done the research themselves, and they're telling you what they found. These are the people who are you that you watch on these blogs and these castings that people are up on, that are uploaded, that people are talking to you with. These people have done the research. They're telling you this stuff. But as I read the comments that you give, you're challenging them, and in my mind, that's a waste of time, of their time and your time. If you don't believe them, fine. Um, but you need to have something to come at them with besides the same old quotes from the same old sources. If somebody say, if somebody, for example, somebody says what they have, the problems they're having with religion or Christianity, and then you say, and then your argument is something that you saw in the Bible. Everybody knows what's in the Bible. You don't need to quote the Bible to nobody. Everybody that's been grew up in America knows everything in the Bible. And the reason why they're arguing is because they are telling their argument despite what's in the Bible. Please don't spend time telling people the same old stuff. It ain't going to get more true just because you keep repeating it. If you're going to argue against it, give something that's not. Sorry about that. That was a, well, you know what that was. That was a ding from something that got uploaded, I think. But we already know what's in the Bible. Don't argue what's something that's already common knowledge. We get that. We're telling our position despite what's there. We've already considered what's in the Bible. We've already considered what the preacher said. Don't tell us that. Don't spend your time on that. Um, if you got an argument, then argue about what you know despite that. Okay, because that's why the people who are telling you what they're saying is because they've done their research, they saw where it's a bad idea, and they're telling you their position. Don't requote the same stuff. That's a time waster. Okay, don't do that. Next thing is that if you do decide to do your own research and you still disagree with what some of the others come out with, that's fine. But upload your own stuff. Okay? If you have a different position, upload your position and subject yourself to the same scrutiny. And explain your position. Some advice for those who do have a different position. What I do is to kind of stay on track is to kind of sketch out me an outline so that I can, while I might digress and jump over here on a subtopic or two that's not on my outline, I know that I can find where I was by coming back to it. It's written down in front of me so that I won't get too far gone on a branch topic. So, and I won't have a lot of hemming and hawing while I search for my thoughts or try to figure out how to say what I want to say. So I keep a little outline in front of me. That way I don't spend a lot of dead air talking while you listen to me try to figure out how to say what I need to say. Um, that way we can stay on track and I won't be boring you and wasting your time. I've seen some that I want to follow that are just beginning, and they search for their thoughts all through their video because they got an emotional response and they know that they're not happy, but they don't know how to say it. And you can look at their face and know their words, but they don't know how to say their words because they're not really good at speaking, but they want to tell you how they feel. So they needed to give themselves a brief outline to focus on how they feel so that they can really articulate what they want to express. Another thing is to actually figure out a way to say what you actually mean. Sometimes we are saying so busy trying to do cliches that we and sound intelligence when we're not really saying what we actually mean. So focus on that and do that if you're going to be uploading and such. Just some advice before you do. That's all. Now, if you choose to do your research yourself, then upload what you think despite the upload your counter argument. That's what I mean. Like common knowledge in a American household is Christianity and all of its tenements, everything about it. And some of them might be an Islamic household, but it's still based on the Semitic God, Semitic slash white God. So we already know that information. The people who are talking about disagreeing with religion are doing this despite that information. They are giving a reaction to the common information. What they're saying is despite that and in reaction to it. So you needn't argue the first pro-Christian information again because we already got that. The counter argument is a anti-Christian, so to speak, argument. Your argument is a third level, and that is a counter argument, and that's where you should put what your data is. Your data can't come from the Bible. That's a circular argument. Your data's got to come from a primary source that's not the Bible or anything in the Bible. It's got to be something that precedes the Bible, and it's got to be something that's not something your preacher said or quote of the Bible or a interpretation or anything about it. It's got to be from another source. So if you got something to say that's a counter argument, fine, but do your research, put it out there, and we'll look at it because some people might it might help some people. Me, it wouldn't help me because I'm not arguing. I am anti-Christian. I am totally anti-Christian. I am anti-Islam. I am 100% anti-Christian. Well, let make that 80% anti-Christian, and I am about 50% anti-Islam. The reasons why I am anti-Christian are, well, it's easier to say the reason why I'm not 100% anti-Christian was because real Christian beliefs do offer generosity and looking out for your fellow man. I am pro that. I am pro those laws of the Ten Commandments. I believe in those. I like those. And I like the idea of watching out for the helpless and the sick. So that's why it's about 80% anti-Christian. The rest of it can go. All of that rest of it can go. The reason why I'm about 50% anti-Islam are the same reasons I'm anti-Christian. But the plus on Islam side is that I have seen with my own eyes how Islam has taken people who are worse off and made them better off. I've seen where they help people get off of drugs and alcohol and a bad lifestyle. I've seen that with my own eyes. I've seen where they gave young men a vocation and a focus. I have no problem with that. The only reason that I am anti-Islam are the same reasons I'm anti-Christian. And there are times when we can work together towards some of the same goals. And but after that, I can let them go. So that's my take on those particular religions. But if you got something to say despite that, then do that and argue it, but based on a third level of the argument, like a counter argument. Okay? That is, it's not going to be an easy argument. But the people who have are speaking to you on these blogs have done their research, they got their data, and they got good information. And so, if you aren't going to do your research because you can't sit still long enough, then fine, listen to them. Listen to all of them. And then do selective research. compare some notes. If they give you a reference, go look it up. Okay? But listen to them. If you ain't gonna research, then do listen, and then choose what you want to believe and what you accept. In choosing, listen to the not only their words but the fruit. And you don't have to see the fruit; you can think it through. Okay. Um, Let me try to. Now, this one I should have figured out, but I just thought of, and this is going to be off topic a bit. For example, if somebody says, "Do not steal," that's easy. Yes, the fruit says don't steal because stealing disrupt the community. This is by thinking it through. Why not steal? Why? What is the reason not to steal? Stealing disrupts the harmony of the community. If thieves are everywhere, then everybody's got to watch their back. Nobody can trust each other, and you need to be able to trust to have a functioning social society. So thieves have to be punished because you should not be stealing, because we can't have a functioning social society if the thieves have undermined any trust in each other. Those are reasons not to steal. Okay, that's the fruit of the reason not to steal. That's the result of a reason not to steal, is that disrupt the harmony of a community. Let's see, don't mess with your neighbor's wife. Again, it disrupts the harmony of the community. It disrupts the harmony of parenthood. It disrupts the trust of the father and mother of children, and marriage vows. Since the marriage members cannot trust each other, then a marriage is not wholesome. It won't last. And if the marriage won't last, then there's no stable family. If the stable family isn't there, then the stable parenthood isn't there, and stable childhood isn't there. So that's the fruit of an action, and that you do and don't do. Follow that chain of logic in your head, and you'll figure out what the fruit is. That's what I mean by choose, making choices, and then follow the logic in your head. Um, that's going to be the result of that choice. All of those whys, and that's what that's what why I mean. If any choice you make, and in any choice you make, and there's a reason for it, ask yourself, why are you choosing that 7 times, and then you'll get the root answer. Okay. I've already discussed um, live. Now I'm gonna die. What'll happen if we die? Fine, but choose to completely die. If the reason why you'll die is if we keep going to keep the status quo, and keep doing the silly stuff that we're doing. That's what really prompted this tape right now, is the silly stuff. I'm not patient with silly stuff. Again, I'm lazy, and so silly stuff is a waste of time for me, because it's a waste of time and effort, and it's a distraction. Lazy people are organized because they don't want to spend extra time and effort. So the silly stuff is a problem because it's in the way. If you are choosing to keep doing silly stuff, you essentially are choosing to die. And that's fine. Just make sure we completely die. The R worse. Live, die, are the worst, or worse. Or R spelled OR and then worse. That's the third choice. The the worst is, what's worse than dying is to be at their mercy, at white people's mercy. And that because their lust and depravity knows no bounds, and that it is better to die. Picture this: all black parents are dead, and nobody left but black kids, babies, and they are in white people's hands. That's worse, because they do want to kill. They do want to have you at their mercy, and they rape. They, if you ever seen those animal porn sites, Substitute your child as an animal. Okay, there was a time when they did call black people animals, and they already did rape your kids. But at least some semblance of Christian values was holding them back. This one that we're coming on now won't have that. There was be nothing holding them back. It'll be much like the Roman Empire, only worse, because they'll be doing it high tech. But it's a I'm gonna talk about corruption of innocence for a second. Um, there are two levels of corruption. One is where they defile your body, but the other one is defiling your spirit and soul, taking away your innocence. One of the most corrupt things I've seen on the animal porn site was an innocent calf, baby calves. Their mothers have udders, which is near their hind legs. A calf mother's udders, and that's where their nipples are, the teats as they call them. And the baby calves, suckle the mother's teats for their nourishment. These are very innocent creatures. Nature's made them innocent because they're babies. On the animal porn site, there is a human male, with his penis naked, standing in front of the baby calves, and the calves don't know no better because they're innocent, and they think his penis is a nipple, so they're suckling it, trying to get milk. As the male ejaculates all over them, and it is white, and they're licking it, but they think there's nourishment because the calf is so innocent. They don't know of a world where their mother, that they think he is, wouldn't be trying to feed them. They don't have any idea of a concept of something that would be so corrupt to not try to feed them. So they think this male's penis is a nipple, and they're trying to get food out of it. Meanwhile, it's that um, porn, I call that the Happy Farmer series of porn. There are various um, animal porn things that where humans are raping animals, and the calves are essentially almost fighting over the penis because they're all hungry. They're trying to get milk. Now, do you not think what they would do to your child if they would corrupt something that innocent? A child, a baby calf, trying to find food because it has no concept of no form of corruption that would even enter its mind that that's not a nipple. That it trusts the world and the way of the world so much that it would not conceive of something not trying to feed it if it's within reach of them. He thinks this man's penis is his mother, and it doesn't know any better, and it never conceived of better. The Happy Farm series is where a female human would get dressed up, I guess in leather, something she had on, over her for a male pig to hump her, and various forms of animals having sex with females, humans. All of these are white people, by the way, either white or light brown people. And but each and every one of them, I say about 95% are white, and it's hundreds of pages. Only thing you have to do is because they have thumbnails, and it's about, I tried to count, I think I remember about 25 to 30 thumbnails on each web page, and then you look down at the page count, and it goes almost into infinity, because it's 1 2 3 4, and then it points, to go to the next series of pages, but 30 by infinity. Okay, if you don't have a site like that, unless there's a demand for that, okay, excuse me, so all the people in the world can get online and fuss about it, and put, I don't think they have a comment section, but they do want you to put in credit card information, so that they can charge you for it. Um, so there's a demand for it, and it's legal. They haven't removed that. They haven't drugged those people out of the wherever they are. Nobody's attacked those people. Those people are still putting those shows on. I suspect that some of the people in it are professionals who just make the videos. I don't think they're actually made for, well, I, I, I almost don't think they're made for women. I think they're mostly made for males. But I don't know. I think some of those women might want to have sex with animals. I don't know. But anyway, they got males and females having sex with various animals. Um, Human males humping goats, humping sheep, humping a mule, humping a horse. I don't think I saw anybody do a camel, but I did see them do a pig, even a chicken. Uh, um, it takes about, and I say only go twice in your lifetime. The first time I looked, because somebody was talking about it and I couldn't believe it, so I went and looked myself because I heard that they said it. I had heard it twice, and that means go look. In two different forms on two different occasions. Then that's my clue with that the universe tells me to go look. So I went and looked, and the people who were talking about it weren't exaggerating. So they have the what I call the Happy Farmer series, where they're raping various farm animals, and the pet abuse series. Now the ACPA or whatever they call it is ain't took them off the internet. No anim the humane society hasn't taken them and jacked them up. And I'm told that, and I looked this up myself too, that in about 19 states or so, it's not illegal. By not illegal, there's no law on the books that says you shouldn't do that. So, uh, and in some parts of Canada, it might be legal. And some of this stuff is from all over the world, I believe, but a lot of it is American accents. Some of them have foreign accents. The animal series is where they're raping dogs, or they're having the dogs hump the human female, and the human female is sucking the penis of a dog and keep fooling with it till the dog ejaculates all over her and ejaculate in her, inside of her body, and you see it. Okay, but there are also ones where the human male raping the dog, big dog, little dogs, and the human male actually put his face on the human dog. I mean, on the dog's sexual organ. I guess licking her or something. I don't know what the hell, but something's wrong with you if you're licking a dog's sexual organs, and then rape them. And there's one where the human male is raping a male dog in his anus, and the male dog is nothing but ashamed. You can look at his face and see where it's a demoralized animal. The thing is that the videos that you see are the videos where the animal has been seasoned. Okay, the first videos where this human male is raping the animal is probably, and I suspect strongly, unspeakable, because the animal is resisting, is crying out, it is fighting it, and it won't have a way to fight because you put a muzzle on him or you overpowered it. But no animal, especially a male dog or female dog, is going to want to have sex with the human, inserting any of his body parts into it. No animal wants a human male's penis up his rear end. No animal, no male dogs, you try to stick your penis in a male dog's butt, okay? And not muzzle him, and y'all go hand to hand. You won't come out well. But if you're overpowered and you can't bite and you can't fight, the most you can do is cry, and that's why those aren't on there too. I think that they probably got a snuff site for that somewhere that's hidden that you really have to pay to see, where you see the initial rape or the rapes. What we see on that little porn site is after the animal has been broken in and they no longer cry out or resist. But what I'm getting at is that If we're at their mercy, this is your 3 year old. This is your 2 year old. This is your newborn. There's nothing to stop them. There, please stop letting their hype about or their spin about morality color your judgment about what they will and won't do. Throw that away. That is too late for that. It's too late for you to even think that they're held back by morality. If laws didn't stop them from doing what they do already, they would do a lot worse. Right now, laws are stopping them, and your ability to protect yourself is stopping them to the extent that you can protect yourself when you're not at their mercy. But if you are at their mercy and there's no law to stop their action, they will do the action. They don't have no restraint. They don't understand it. The fruit of their labors, the fruit of their actions, the fruit of their beliefs is evident all around you. That animal was at their mercy. Those animals that they are raping are creatures that are at white people mercy. The animal can't fight. Okay? The animal is their pet. The human is in a position of trust, and they believe and they abuse, the humans are abusing it. Much of TV and comedy is about abusing trust that you see on TV, abusing the trust of somebody that trusted them. Listen and watch their interactions with people all day long. They abuse trust all day long. So please don't think that these people won't hurt your child if they are at their mercy. Do you have any idea, and this is about doing your research, what happened to the children of Europe when the rich people wanted to abuse them? They did. They abused poor people's daughters, sons, anybody else they wanted to, and they did everything they wanted to them. This is not a new thing. It's going to be horrible for your family and my family if we are ever at their mercy. Because that's your 3 year old daughter that's being forced to have sex with a grown man, that he's raping her. And they rape babies. Yes, they rape babies. Babies die from severe vaginal trauma more than once, a lot of times. Okay? And these are white babies. White babies that are left in the household with a white male. Mother goes off to the store or something, and the white male got turned on and raped the baby, and the baby died. And this is not new. It is not isolated. Okay? So, no, we don't want to be at their mercy. They've also used our children to entertain their need for blood. So, just like in the Roman Empire, where they threw families to the lions and various other creatures as they watched in the arena for entertainment, as your family and you were attacked by wild, hungry animals, and they found that amusing to look at. So it is when they came in modern years to show up for a lynching, as they lynched men or women, and then the children were thrown to wild alligators to use as alligator bait while they were amused at watching them suffer and die. Okay? These are the people that'll do that. There are still reports and videos of them doing such things to animals, animal cruelty, cruel things to animals right now. Right now, we don't see where they're doing alligator bait anymore, or those other things that they did to kids anymore, to black kids. We don't see the videos of it, but if you're at their mercy and there's no law stopping them, I believe they will do it again because they still have that desire. And if nothing's stopping them, they will. Okay? So, yeah, there's things worse than dying, and that's being at their mercy. So I'd much rather us die than for us to be at their mercy. Now, Finally, this part is about the choice we have to make. And this is titled No More Time for Silliness. No more time for silliness. Like I said, I've been watching videos and looking at the comments and the comments and chat page. And I'm telling you this, some of the stuff that people are saying is telling me they don't have a clue or don't want a clue. And I get it because it's horrible to see and horrible to know. Okay? It is really horrible because it's if God has betrayed you. God has told you that He doesn't love you because we have got the white man as the image of God all around us. So we've already sabotaged our ability to even fight the white man because we have told ourselves in our own mind that he's God. Now, until you get that out your mind, you won't be able to successfully fight. So, if you still got a image of a God or image of anybody in the Bible in your household and it's depicted as white, you need to click this off right now if you're not going to take that down. Okay? If you're not going to stop looking at the white person as an image of God, then you need to stop uh, um, even fooling with this until you have gotten in your mind that you can walk away from that white God or even the Semitic God. Click this off. Just go back to being Christian, hope and pray for the status quo to end, but get the heck out the way because we don't have time for you no more. We do not have time for you. Time is up. And the people who are ready to go forward don't need to be spending time trying to get you on board when you won't even do your own minimum. I work in a place where I'm real good at what I do, and people ask me questions about how to do certain stuff. I don't give them the answer because I know they can find the answer. So I tell them that they need to go look that up. Don't bother me, in so many words. Look it up. If I looked it up, you can look it up. And that's what I'm saying to you. Look it up. And then do your own homework. You've got to get through your head that this white God is not on your side, and that you can't really fight the white man if you believe in a white God, and you need to go away. Just stop it. Just walk away. Keep doing the charitable works you do in Christianity, but get out of this mix. Get out of this argument. Leave us alone. Walk away. If you're not going to open your mind to this thing where the Christian God is a bad deal for black people, then don't be here. This is no place for you. You're wasting our time. You go and keep up with the status quo and just hope for the best. That's what you do. You go somewhere and pray and hope and get the heck out the way. Please. Now, no more time for silliness. Get off the web pages, or make your own counter argument if you want to, but and leave the link if you must. But you don't need to spend a lot of typewriter time or a lot of keyboard time telling about something that we already know. Okay? Stop it. Please. You're wasting time. Wasting our time. Do your own research. Look at primary sources. Look beyond the Bible. I say don't look at a darn thing in the Bible. Look at everything. Look at the history of the people that were living when the Bible was being typewritten. Look at the history of the people when the Bible was being when those oral tradition stories were being compiled. That is pre-Christian, before current era histories and translations. Go ahead and look at those and do your research. Sit down, shut up, look and read, okay? Read primary sources. You will read and see that most of the early saints of the Christian religion were black men. Saint Benedict, Saint Augustine, I think Saint Peter too. Most of those names that you see are famous, those were black men. It started off as a very black religion. Those Christians were who the Romans were throwing to the lions, and those were black people. They used religion as an excuse to throw them to the lions at the time, but it would have been something else because they wanted to be entertained with the bloodshed. They just needed to pick a category that people could get behind. But that's all about having the carnage and the bloodshed. It wasn't about religion. It's just need an excuse. Get that through your head too. Okay? That category is an excuse. It is not the real reason. The real reason is they want to see bloodshed. For example, recently, a few days ago, that lady who said that Emmett Till whistled at her confessed that she lied. A, most black people did know that she lied or suspected it, and B, she was probably coerced into lying and knowing that it was in her best interest to lie. But anyway, she's supposed to be clearing her conscience, and because she's an old lady now and she's about to die, and she wanted to get that off of her conscience. And the thing is, I already know she lied, but I also know that it was in her best interest to continue with at the time. And C, it don't matter if he did whistle at her; it's still a wrong thing to do. Black people are mad at the lady for lying. I as if and that's what they're doing. They're fussing about if it wouldn't have happened if she hadn't lied. I don't care if she lied or not. It should not have happened. It's equivalent to a spouse abuser coming home and finding the remote in the wrong place and beating up his spouse, or but the remote had been in the wrong place till the child moved it. I mean, the remote had been in the right place till the child moved it. And the people who witnessed it say that if the child hadn't moved it, the spouse wouldn't have got beat up. I'm saying this, that the spouse abuser came home intending to beat up anyway. And two, the spouse abuser never should have been able to touch her. Or so whether the remote was there is irrelevant. It's not right to have beat her up. Okay? So I'm saying whether the young man whistled at that lady is irrelevant. It is not right to have killed him and beat him up and did all that other horrible stuff to him. Okay? So whether he whistled, ran naked down the street, or whatever, it wasn't right what they did. That was wrong. And so whether she lied or not or didn't lie, or whether she spoke or whatever, they shouldn't have been in the they shouldn't have done that. And it's for on us not to let them get in a position to do such things again. Okay? So that's about the status quo. Now, that's one of my digressing, and this is me getting back on track. So no more time for silliness. Do your own research, or you can listen to the people who have done the research. But stop spending time on the nonsense. That is, I got down there. If you have an alternate interpretation of the data, then make your own blog. Stop distracting from our purpose. Stop the and I talk and silliness. Silliness is to type something that is not relevant to the subject and is otherwise a nonsense distraction. So let me come back here. Stop spending time on the nonsense. We kind of talked about that um, up there. And when you are typing and you're getting ready to make a comment, I just shifted positions, and that's why you hear that little background noise. So excuse me on that. Okay, now you're at your keyboard. You just heard the blog, or you're listening to the blog, right? And you are getting ready to type. Think about this before you type. Now, if you have got some kind of comment that you had even before the blog started that you wanted to put in there, and it's not helpful to the blog, or and it's not helpful, think about why you wanting to put that there. That's what you got to look at. That's your choice. That's what you got to decide. Why were you wanting to put that comment in that blog that you already had before that blog even started? That comment before that blog even started. You looked at the title and decided this is a good place to drop this, whatever you got to say in there. Because most likely that's something that's not relevant to what that person said, and it's a distraction from what that person said. That's a silliness. Don't put that there. Okay? That's not something that belongs there. This is people who are worried about trying to live and focus on trying to get us to a new place, a better place. What you just getting ready to put there is just something that you want to do to amuse yourself. This is in no way helpful to that conversation. So, if you just want to amuse yourself, then upload whatever it is that you got to say it and upload it, and then put yourself out there. Okay? And you can put the link in that blog or in the comments for whoever's reading whatever you got to say, and then they can link and look at that. Say something like, I got this or I disagree with that. Read, hear what I got to say, and you put your link in there so they can look at what you got to say if you got to say something important or relevant. But if you're spending your time putting stupid stuff that's nonsense in there that's that's not even relevant, then you are doing the silliness and you're wasting our time and you're creating a distraction, and we're really trying to focus on essentially keeping you alive. Nobody else is going to holler or cry for your death but your family. You got some people who gonna march around again, but even that's dying down, okay? Because it's not working. So the silliness isn't working. That's your choice you gotta make. Where are you gonna stand on this? Are you gonna stand with helping us? Or are you gonna stand with distracting and delaying us? Okay, this is not a funny thing. This is not a game. You gotta grow up. Okay? Grow up. Stop it. So, if you have an alternate interpretation of the data, then make your own blog. That is, after you have done your research, found stuff that's relevant to the topic that you want to look at, then upload your own video on that, talking about the data, talking about your position. But make your thoughts clear. Make your position clear. Keep the personal stuff out. That's helpful because when it's personal, it magnifies in effect. With internet stuff, much of it is cerebral, so hurt feelings are really hurt sometimes because it's all 90% of the internet is all in your mind. Only thing you're doing is talking to a camera or a key or a screen. You're really talking to a screen, although your computer's down someplace or somewhere off to the side. The screen is what you be looking at, and it's all in your mind and your in the interface. So when it's in your mind like that, the emotions are stronger because you don't have the filters because it's already inside behind the firewall. So you don't spend your time hurting people's feelings because people's feelings are really hurt, just like your feelings get really hurt. It magnifies. It's not the same hurt feelings as you do face to face. You got your filters up face to face. You got a certain amount of firewall face to face. We're used to that. We can do face to face without having deeply hurt feelings. But on internet, there are deeply hurt feelings at work here. Please stop insulting people because there are deeply hurt feelings and it's uncalled for. Just make your position known on your own blog and leave theirs alone. Okay, but do your research and do be their equal if you're going to contradict them. That is, you got to have equal facts, equal data, equal research. But if you don't have that, then shut up and listen and watch, because we really need to change the status quo. And our lives are going in a direction that's not helpful for us. So, even if you are a little child that's 5 or 6 years old, I say that if you can type, then you should be able to get this. And that no matter what your age is, you should be mature enough to be able to focus and grow up. So, please grow up. Finally, the last part of this is that I can see that not everybody will be ready for this next step, but time is up. That's the choice you got to make. Whether you're going to stay in this part and move it forward, or B, maintain the status quo and not move forward. But we do need for you to get out the way. We need for you to move on out the way and just stop it. Stop with the stupid stuff. Stop with the trying to fight for the status quo, because every time I see somebody commenting about something that's already here, you're fighting for the status quo in my mind. You're fighting to keep things the way they are. The way things are is not good enough. The way things are is detrimental to us. But you're fighting to keep it like that. And that's what I mean by the silliness. And that's what I mean by you need to make a choice. Do you want to keep things like they are? Then if so, go away. Stay away. Don't stay over here. The people who are wanting to move forward are over here fighting to move forward. And they don't need you in the way. That's it. Time's up. And I'm going to end this right now because I've said what I had to say. Thanks. Bye bye.